Hello and welcome back to the FPL Talk channel, and today we're back with another team review episode. Now, for your chance to be in the next one, all you have to do is subscribe and then head to the Instagram, which will be in the description. DM me your team and then I'll select teams at random to offer my advice to, and whether you take my advice or not, that is your choice. But we're going to be looking at teams today and going through each position, and I'll give you my verdict whether I think that player you've got there is good or not, and if I don't think it's good, I'll give you a recommendation who you should swap for. And we're trying to help the community out and get people to have the best teams that they possibly can. So starting off, we've got Aidan's team now. He has got Edison in goal, and personally for me, this is perfect. You want to go for a Man City, Liverpool or Chelsea keeper, because then you don't have to worry about your keeper for the whole of FPL unless there's some injury, which is very unlikely in the goalkeeper position. And they're highly likely to get clean sheets, these three premium keepers. Even Mendy's coming in at 5 million, so if you're suffering for the budget, you could obviously go for him. But personally, for me, it's got to be Edison or Alisson. They've got the highest chance of keeping clean sheets, and they're not even that expensive this year. So, great decision for your keeper. And you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Cancelo, who are pretty much nailed on, let's be honest. The best performing defenders in both of those premium teams. Then you've got Pw.brt. Now, Pw.brt is a great decision coming in to Spurs, strengthening up that left side. Yes, there's a rotational risk with Sessegnon and Reguilon being there, but we all know Pw.brt quality. But if you feel like that rotational risk is too much, you could go for an alternate option, just because Pw.brt is a bit older and he may need that rotational risk impacting him later on in the season. But remember, we do have the World Cup occurring, so that could give him a chance to potentially play more games at the start of the season, and then during the World Cup he can do whatever he's doing with his international rather than worrying about swapping him out for club country. So because of the World Cup, I think he will start a lot of games in the start of the season, and personally he is a great option. You've gone for Robertson, and I've seen a lot of people considering this, going for the Trent Robertson double up, just because of how great their fullbacks are. To be honest, I don't actually go against this Liverpool double up. You're obviously losing out at Luis Diaz in midfield because you've gone for them three Liverpool players and two of them being in defence, and you've already got Salah. But Robertson and Trent, if I was going to go for any defensive duo, that would be the duo, so I don't mind that. And then Reece James, who's highly selected, and it was clear to see why. When he was actually fit in the season, he performed very, very well, and I very much like that one. You've obviously got Salah. Again, Salah as captain. As I've always said, Salah has returned in the past 5 game week ones in FPL, and to not captain him or not even have him in your team would be a very silly decision, so I feel like you've got to put him in there. Then you've got Mahrez, which is a bit of a differential, but one I like. We did speak about Mahrez in the last video. If you've not checked it out, go check out the last video where we looked at all the differentials that you could go for to get an advantage in your mini leagues. But Riyad Mahrez, with Sterling leaving, is probably going to get a lot more game time, and Riyad Mahrez favours off the right wing, whereas they've only got a bit more depth in the left now with Foden and Sterling. So I can see Mahrez actually getting a lot of game time, and any midfielder or attacker in a Man City team is going to be likely to be effective. You've also got Coutinho, and I like this one as well. I had Coutinho in my team. He's got very nice fixtures at the start of the season, and around game week 4, game week 5, they do get tougher, but you can always transfer him out. There's a lot of people around that 7 million mark that could also do the same job. And you've also got Mason Mount now. Mason Mount is a very, very underrated player. People forget how good Mason Mount is. Yes, he did have a bad time in that final versus Liverpool where he hit the post, I think, and put one wide. But Mason Mount is quality, and he just get consistent numbers every year. He just go a bit under the radar. So again, he's another good asset. And then you've got Gabriel Jesus, who is very much in favour up front at the 8 million mark. I can't really argue with that one. He's in my team. In that, with their fixtures and how Arsenal is strengthening and how strong their attack is, you can't really look past Jesus. You've got to have an Arsenal attacker in there. If you are suffering for your budget, you could also go get Martin Ødegaard to save your money. And then on the bench, you've got Taylor Smallbone and some other Leeds player. The only thing I would say about that is, yes, you are struggling for depth on the bench. So you have Mahrez and Mason Mount. Maybe I would drop one down to possibly Neto, and then you could also still get yourself someone around that markish for that price who could still do a good job at 6.5, 7 million still. Just because if you get an injury or suspension, you're going to waste your transfer, and then if that happens 2 times, you're screwed, because that means you're going to get a player that's either going to get 1 or 2 points off your bench, or you're then going to get 0 points for a player because they're not even playing. And also, if you haven't got Andreas Pereira, I would certainly do that now. He's at Fulham for the cheapest midfielder in the game. But overall, that is a very solid team from Aidan, and we're going to go look at the next team. So on to the next team now. We have Y_FL's team, and he's got Martinez in goal. As we spoke about with Coutinho, Villa have a very nice start to the season with their fixture run, and any Villa player probably is going to do a good job for you. You can obviously look at transferring him out just a bit into the season, but Martinez is well renowned for those goalkeeper save points as well, so he's going to get those save points on top of those clean sheets hopefully for you, and he is a good option to go for. Then at the back you've also got Trent, Perisic, James and Cancelo, just like the last player had, and as you can tell, this is a very popular thing to do this year. It's very important to go big at the back in your FPL team, simply because if you look at the value of defenders compared to midfielders and attackers, the defenders are such more better valued because of the points they get per game and their returns. So going big at the back, even 5 at the back, is good this year, I would say, rather than 3 at the back, and trying to put budgets and all your money into midfielders such as Saka or Kuleveski. You might want to go big at the back and upgrade the players you've already got, which could be a good decision. Then a bit of a differential, he's got James Maddison. Now, I'm not seeing any Salah in this team, and personally for me, you need to find a way to get Salah in this team because that is a very risky play, not having him in there. I'll tell you how to do that after. But James Maddison, I like as a bit of a differential. He's always a nailed-on starter for Leicester, and he's very good at getting those attacking returns. He always has a run where he scores a load of goals and gets assists, and then he dies off, but hopefully it'll be at the start of the season where he does that for you and peaks early. You've also got Luis Diaz at 8 million. I see Luis Diaz as an essential, really. People were expecting him to come at 9.5, 9 million, but he's come at 8 million, and Jota's got an injury on his hamstring where he's having another scan. It's a reoccurring injury, which means Diaz is even more nailed on to play than he was before, even if he wasn't going to anyway, because he was. You've also got Bruno Guimaraes. This is one who's very hyped, but, you know, I don't know if he'll actually do that well. However, for his value, you can't really look past him. He's like 6 million around that mark. And with Newcastle's fixtures that are very solid, I recommend Kieran Trippier as a defender if you're looking for a Newcastle defender. But Bruno Guimaraes, we saw how influential he was when he signed in January. Very, very consistent with his performances once he got a run of starts. And he's a good cheap option. Then you've got Haaland, who's obviously one of the most selected, if not the most selected player in the game. Certainly up there. And you've got him as captain because you don't have Salah. But for me, Salah's got to be there. Haaland, we know how good he's going to be. He's scored so many goals in the past, and with those Man City players supplying him, oh my days, the amount of goals he's going to score should be loads, so long as he can avoid injury. Then Jesus in that lethal Arsenal attack, we've already spoken about him. Very, very good. Someone who can put the ball in the net, and with the creative players behind him of Ødegaard, Martinelli, Smith-Rowe, Saka, you expect him to get quite a few goals. Then Jamie Vardy, now this is the one I would downgrade, so you can then go and try and get Salah in your midfield. But Jamie Vardy, yeah, he's alright, but he's at a bit more rotational risk as he is older. And you've also already got Maddison, so I wouldn't really go from a double up for a team outside the top 6, but I would try squeeze Salah in there somewhere. But your bench are very much like, because you've got Neto on the bench, and even, you know, you've still got Harry Winks who could potentially play, but again, switch that to Andreas Pereira. Then you have 2 players on the bench who are literally going to play and could get you points in your team if you do suffer any injuries. And that means you can use your transfers how you actually want them to and not be forced into different moves. But again, that is a very nice team. Let's go on to the next team. As I said, even though these photos are a bit smaller, you should still be able to see them. If not, you can listen to me read them out. Next up, we've got Pw.brt.millie. A bit of an interesting username, but we'll go with it. He's got a team here with Mendy in goal. As we've said, Mendy, a great option, 5 million, 0.5 million cheaper than Edison and Alisson, and he's one of those in the premium team that are likely to keep a lot of clean sheets, and you won't have to worry about swapping your keeper in and out. Then he has gone for the 5 at the back, which I do highly recommend this year, of Perisic, Trent, James, the 3 we have spoke about, and also Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu for 4.5 million is a great asset, very underrated, in an Arsenal team that have a very nice run start to the season, a very nice run of fixtures, I was going to say, and you know, for 4.5 million, you can't really look past him. Yes, there's Ben White, but Tomiyasu in that fullback position only really is challenged by Cedric, and Arsenal fans don't really like Cedric, and Tomiyasu is far superior. Whereas Ben White does have Saliba competing against him and could be at rotational risk. It's yet to see what Arteta will do. But he's also got Matty Cash now. I prefer, you know what, I do prefer Luca Digne over Matty Cash, even though there's a lot of hype around Matty Cash, just because Luca Digne's on more set pieces, and I think he's just got better technical ability. Then you have got Saka in midfield. I see you've got Jesus. I wouldn't really go for a double up there. I'd probably keep Gabriel Jesus or Saka, one of the two, and then maybe you could go for like Bowen instead in midfield, or someone around that mark who you could change. I wouldn't really stay the same. You could also go Luis Diaz instead of Saka, just because I feel like the double up for Liverpool is so much more reliable than Arsenal, who just don't get results as Liverpool do. Then you've got Salah. It's great to see Salah in your team. And Son, you've gone for Son over Haaland. Now, I don't mind this because Son, against Southampton at home is so tempting on the first game week. And we've seen how great Son was last season, getting the most non-penalty goals. And that fixture for Southampton just looks so tempting. And Son is Premier League proven, unlike Haaland, and Son is less injury prone. Then you've got Mason Mount. We spoke about Mason Mount, very under the radar, a good option. And Jesus, I would probably keep one of the two, Saka or Jesus, but I do like having Son as a premium. It's a bit different. And yes, your bench is only Pereira, but at least you've got that one player that does actually play. That team overall is actually very solid. There's not a lot I would change about it at all. Maybe obviously switch Saka or Jesus, just one of them. And also something you could look at getting at is Ederson in goal, simply because yes, Mendy is very good, but you've also got Reece James there, and if you do concede, you are going to be in a bit of trouble. So there's not much I would switch about that at all. Again, you could switch Mount to Neto because you've already got an 8 million round Saka. You could switch that and then maybe upgrade the bench to get a better player. But other than that, it is a very, very solid team. So let's look at the next one. So next up, we have a different Aidan's team. Now, he has Mendy in goal again. A very favourable option. I can see you've got no Chelsea defenders other than Mendy, so I feel like Mendy is the perfect option for you. You've got no double ups in that defence, which is perfect, because obviously you want to avoid that. Because if you have Reece James and Mendy, as we just saw, if Chelsea concede, then you're getting 2 points really in each place, and you don't want that. Kieran Trippier, I did mention previously, a very, very good option. Again, on set pieces, and is very quality. And with Newcastle constantly strengthening, they're going to get some good results this year. And he can get those attacking returns on that lovely fixture run they do have. Then you've got the classic Perisic, Trent and Cancelo. Can't complain much about that. Salah. Then you've got Martinelli, Neto and Diaz. Now, this is the first Martinelli we have seen. And for me, I would not go for Martinelli. I'd probably go for a different player and then start Tomiyasu and play 5 at the back. Simply because with Martinelli, right, he's on the left and people are very hyped about him, putting him in their team. But you've got to remember last season, Ødegaard got the armband for a bit, didn't get rotated, but it was actually Smith Rowe that came on for Martinelli on the left. So he's got high rotational risk. And even if he starts, he's only going to play like 70 minutes and he's not going to maximise return. So maybe look at someone different to Martinelli and start Tomiyasu. And then you've got Neto and Luis Diaz, very solid. Neto for 5.5 million, a very hype player, and I can see why. He is very influential when he can avoid injuries, and with Wolves' start to the season, he could be very productive. Then you have got Jesus and Harry Kane. Now, I actually really rate Harry Kane. He's got like 16% selected or something, which is ridiculous, but Harry Kane did score 2 goals in pre-season the other day, and he is looking sharp. And we've seen how quality Harry Kane is every single year, even though he started slow to last season. He finished absolutely amazingly. That wonder game against Man City. And I really like that play of having Harry Kane in your team. It's really hard to leave a Spurs attacking asset out this year just because of how productive they were last season. But on your bench, you've obviously got Tomiyasu, as we already said, and you do have Pereira. So you've already got those 2 bench players that can play if needed, and then means you can choose your transfers when you want and not be forced into them, as we've previously said. So Aidan, I have to say, that is a very, very nice team, and we're seeing a lot of teams like this around this mark with the same players just because of how popular they are. But I very much like that team. Let's take a look at the next one. So into our penultimate team, we have Oscar's team here. Now, he's got Dean Henderson in goal, and Dean Henderson has to go. Get Sanchez straight in that net. You did tell me he was shaky. You already knew it. But do get Sanchez in that net, because for 4.5 million, Sanchez is the best keeper option. Brighton finishing in the top 10 of the Premier League last season, and they dominated most games with possession, we clearly saw, but they just didn't have that quality striker who could get the job done from up front. But they kept quite a few clean sheets, and I feel like Sanchez is the best for you there. Then you've got the Perisic, James, Trent, who we've already spoke about. James Justin coming in as a 4.5 million defender. I very much like that play. A good option to be rotated on and off the bench for 4.5 million. Those Leicester defenders do look like a good choice to have. And then you do have Nico Williams. Again, I feel like he's more of a hit for you. It's not bad to have him. You can rotate him in and out. He'll be there on the bench if you do need him. Then you've also gone for the 3 premiums. Now, this is the first time we've seen this, but I rate the 3 premiums. If Nico Williams is a sacrifice you have to make, I mean, it's not awful. Salah and Son, we've already spoke about them, incredible players. Bruno Guimaraes we spoke about, and also Haaland and Jesus. We're seeing a lot of familiar teams here because of how popular these players are and how influential they've previously been. For me, I wouldn't really go for, I would try and go for 2 premiums. You can decide, Salah or Son or Haaland and Salah, because I feel like you've got to have just Salah in there with one of the others, so Haaland or Son. You can't have all 3 just because the money sacrifice is just a bit too much in my opinion. With your bench, again, you've got Pereira, but you could strengthen that bench. Colback could then go to Neto and you could upgrade that defender, Nico Williams, to a much more solid one. You could even get like a Cancelo with the money you've got spare. So I feel like the 2 premiums is certainly worth it just to sacrifice that 3rd and benefit your whole team with that rest of the money you will have. Overall, though, that is a very solid team. Again, I'll just look at switching those Forest players and a premium out, but that is Oscar's team. Let's look at the next one. Now we are into the final team of the video. Remember, if you're not in this one, all you got to do is subscribe and DM me a team on Instagram. If you've already done it, you're still in with a chance. I'll pick them randomly next episode. But we're here with Cruz Vieira's team. Now he's got Mendy in goal. We spoke about him. Very, very solid Mendy is. Then we've got Trent, Cancelo and Perisic. I'm just going to keep saying these players because everyone has him, let's be honest. Then Van Dijk. Now Van Dijk's an interesting one. Yes, he can get those clean sheets, but he's a centre-back. And Van Dijk doesn't score many goals. Yes, he's very tall, but he actually doesn't score that many goals. So you may want to drop Van Dijk just to like a 4.5 million who you can rotate in and out, or maybe a 5 million one, There's some good options around that price bracket who you could get. And this would also allow you, if you did downgrade Van Dijk, to upgrade Nico Williams, who is very weak, but he would be good on the bench, but he is starting for you at the minute. Then you've got Salah, who's a must-have. Bowen, who not a lot of people are going for just because he's priced a bit higher, but you've got to remember how many returns Jarrod Bowen did get last year and how good he actually was. So he is worth paying a bit more for. West Ham, we are signing a few players. We just got Aguard. We'll link to a few others as well. Then you've got Foden. I wouldn't go for Foden. If I was going for a Man City differential in midfield, it'd have to be Mahrez, just because he has that rotational risk of Grealish, and Foden isn't really going to play in that centre-forward position anymore because they've signed Haaland, obviously, who's an out-and-out number 9. Then they've got Martinelli. Again, we spoke about Martinelli. I wouldn't look at having him just because of the rotational risk, and he's probably going to play less minutes. So maybe look at someone else. And then you've got Harry Kane on a triple captain up front versus Southampton. That is a ballsy play, but I really rate it because, let's be honest, you've not gone for it in a double game week. And if this pays off, you could be number 1 in the world after the first week. But Harry Kane versus Southampton, you always favour Spurs versus Southampton, especially at home first day of the season. So that is a very solid team. All I'll do is downgrade Van Dijk, upgrade Nico Williams, and then maybe swap out Foden and Martinelli for someone else, and also upgrade your bench so you can get a better player there in case you do get them injuries. But that is the video for today. If you have enjoyed, please do subscribe and leave a like on the video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.